In the heart of my college dorm, there was a door that everyone knew about but no one dared to approach. It sat at the end of a dark hallway, steel and grimy, shrouded in mystery. No one had seen what lay beyond it for decades. Rumors swirled. Some said it led to a long-abandoned room filled with old furniture, while others claimed it was a gateway to something far more sinister. Most of us simply avoided the door, respecting the whispers that echoed in the night. But curiosity has a way of drawing us in, especially when you're 18 and filled with bravado. It was late October when a chill swept through the campus, the leaves turning crisp and brown, and Halloween was fast approaching. My roommate Jake had heard the stories and thought it would be a hilarious prank to get a group together and see if we could open it. I was hesitant, but the thrill of the unknown was too enticing. That night, we gathered a few brave souls, Jake, Emma, and Josh. Armed with courage and a flashlight, we crept down the dim corridor. The air grew colder as we approached the door, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. I first stood before it, hesitating, my heart pounding. The faded brass doorknob was coated in dust, and I could sense a palpable energy around it, like it was alive. We laughed nervously as Jake pushed the door with all his weight. To our shock, it creaked open, revealing a pitch-black room beyond. We shone our flashlight inside, illuminating peeling wallpaper and forgotten furniture draped in dust. The air was stale, heavy with unseen secrets, and I felt an urge to turn back. But fear of appearing cowardly held me in place. Just as our laughter died down, we noticed something odd in the corner, a small table with a stack of old cards, their edges fraying. They were not just any cards. They looked like tarot cards, intricate images displayed on their surfaces. We gathered around the table, drawn to the mystery they held. "Let's do a reading," Emma suggested with an excited glint in her eyes, her voice echoing through the empty room. Against my better judgment, we agreed. One by one, we shuffled and drew the cards. An unsettling feeling crept over me as we laid them out again. The death card, the tower, and the hanged man stared back at us. "Very ominous," Josh murmured, laughing nervously. But I shivered when the temperature in the room seemed to drop even further. "What if it's a sign?" I asked, trying to lighten the mood, but my voice trembled. Suddenly, a heavy air filled the room, and the door slammed shut behind us. Panic shot through my veins. We rushed to the door, pulling and pushing with all our strength, but it didn't budge. The light from our flashlight began to flicker, creating strange shadows on the walls. "This isn't funny," Jake yelled, his voice shaking. "Open the door." A cold, low laugh echoed around, US, sending chills racing down my spine. My heart raced as fear gripped me. "What have we done?" I whispered. The cards seemed to shimmer on the table, and I could almost feel a presence looming over us. Then, a shadow materialized in the corner of the room. It was a figure tall and cloaked in darkness. My breath caught in my throat as I realized it was a spirit, its hollow eyes staring right into my soul. "Leave this place," it whispered, its voice like a rasping wind. "You have disturbed the slumber of those who came before." I felt compelled to speak, but words caught in my throat. Jake finally found his voice. "Why are you here?" he shouted, desperate. The spirit pointed toward the cards, and I felt the urge to look at them again. In that moment, everything shifted. The cards rearranged themselves, and suddenly, each one depicted moments of fear, regret, and loss. It dawned on me that the room held the memories of those who had once lived there. "You need to know our stories," the spirit cried, its voice growing louder. With that, a rush of images flooded my mind. Visions of sadness and despair, students who inhabited the place before, trapped by their own fears. "We were once like you," the spirit continued. But when the door opened, it released us from our suffering. I realized too late that curiosity had taken a darker turn. The door had held more than mere secrets. It had trapped the essence of lives lost and unfulfilled. Suddenly, the room began to vibrate, the walls trembling. "Leave or join us," the spirit shrieked. In that instant, my instincts kicked in. "See more," and I screamed. "Let's get out of here." I bolted for the door, frantic. Jake and the others followed, fear driving us into a frenzy as we pounded on the door, shouting for it to open. The spirit's laughter echoed louder, and the shadows around it thickened, forming a barrier that crackled with cold energy. With one final desperate shove, the door swung open unexpectedly, and we stumbled backward, falling into the hallway. The spirit's gaze bore into me as I looked back, its chilling voice lingering in my ears. "You cannot escape your fate," it warned, but in that moment our terror propelled us forward. And we dashed away, each heartbeat louder than the last. Adrenaline coursing through our veins. We ran blindly through the darkened hallways, desperately wanting to get as far from that door as possible. Finally, we skidded to a halt, gasping in a small common area, faces pale, hearts racing. "Did that just happen?" Emma whispered, her eyes wide with shock. Jake, still shaking, nodded. "I don't care how brave we thought we were. We never go near that door again." But even as we agreed, I felt a weight settle in my chest. The spirit had left its mark on me, and the knowledge of those lost stories churned inside, twisting and turning, reluctant to be forgotten. We didn't speak about it again, but I could sense that the door had opened more than just a physical entrance. The air around us felt different, as if a thin veil had been lifted. Each night after, I would hear whispers in the dark, and sometimes, in my dreams, I would see glimpses of the figures trapped by their own regrets, faces familiar yet foreign. The spirit's final warning echoed in my mind. "You cannot escape your fate." I didn't understand it then, but I could feel it was a reflection of our fears, that we were dancing on the edge of something deeper. With each sunset, the chill returned, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the door still beckoned, guarding secrets that longed to be revealed. Though I had escaped that night, I knew the stories within would stay with me forever.